Taming the Mind, A Guide to Mastering Your Desires, written by Ethan Caldwell. Published by Motivation Audiobook. Introduction. Welcome to Taming the Mind, A Guide to Mastering Your Desires. In this audiobook, you'll embark on a transformative journey to understand and control the desires that shape your thoughts and actions. Through practical strategies and mindful insights, you'll learn how to navigate cravings, impulses, and longings without letting them dominate your life. Expect to discover techniques for cultivating discipline, finding balance, and turning desires into motivation rather than distractions. This guide will empower you to master your mind, leading to greater inner peace, clarity, and a life lived with purpose. Chapter 1. The Power of Awareness. Recognizing your desires. Awareness is the first step in mastering your desires. It's the key that opens the door to understanding, allowing you to take control of your mind rather than being controlled by it. When you become aware of your desires, you gain the power to examine them instead of letting them dictate your actions. This is the foundation for all transformation, and it begins with a single realization: you are not your desires. You have desires, but they do not define you. Recognizing your desires requires you to step back and observe. Too often, you move through life on autopilot, reacting to what you want without questioning why you want it. But when you pause and bring your awareness to your desires, you begin to see them clearly. You notice when a craving arises, when a longing takes hold, and when an urge starts to drive your behavior. This moment of awareness is powerful because it gives you a choice. You can either follow the desire blindly, or you can choose to act from a place of clarity and wisdom. The truth is, desires are not inherently bad. They are a natural part of being human. It's the attachment to those desires that can lead you astray. When you become overly attached to something, believing that you need it to feel complete or happy, you give it power over you. But awareness brings freedom. When you are aware of your desires, you can engage with them consciously, without letting them rule over you. You can appreciate them for what they are, a momentary feeling, a fleeting thought, without becoming lost in them. As you deepen your awareness, you'll start to notice patterns. You may discover that certain desires arise in response to specific triggers: stress, boredom, or even loneliness. With this awareness, you can begin to question those desires. Why do I want this right now? Is this something that will truly bring me fulfillment, or is it a temporary distraction? By asking these questions, you bring your desires into the light of consciousness, where they can be examined and understood. This awareness also helps you see the difference between desires that are aligned with your highest good and those that are not. Some desires may lead you closer to your purpose, while others pull you away from it. When you are aware, you can make conscious choices about which desires to follow and which to release. You become the master of your mind, rather than its servant. By recognizing your desires, you begin to see them for what they truly are. They are not commands you must obey, but signals that can guide you, if you are aware enough to listen. And the more you practice awareness, the stronger it becomes. Over time, you will find that you are less reactive and more intentional in how you respond to your desires. This is the beginning of true freedom. Awareness is the foundation of mastering your mind. With it, you can observe your desires without being controlled by them. You can choose to act from a place of wisdom, and in doing so, you will begin to tame the mind. This is where your journey begins. You are not powerless. With awareness, you hold the key to mastering your desires and living a life of clarity, purpose, and peace. Chapter 2. The Roots of Desire. Understanding where they come from. Desires often seem to appear out of nowhere, driving your thoughts and actions with an intensity that can be hard to resist. But when you take the time to understand where your desires come from, you gain profound insight into your own mind. You begin to see that your desires are not random. They are deeply rooted in your experiences, conditioning, and emotions. By exploring these roots, you unlock the potential to understand yourself on a deeper level and, ultimately, to gain control over what once felt uncontrollable. Every desire has a story. Some desires are born from your past, shaped by childhood experiences, societal expectations, or cultural influences. Others are the result of unmet emotional needs, loneliness, fear, or the longing for validation. When you start to look closely at your desires, you'll begin to notice the patterns. You may find that certain desires arise when you're feeling vulnerable, stressed, or insecure. They are your mind's way of seeking comfort, protection, or distraction. But when you understand the root cause of a desire, you can begin to address it at its source. Desires are also fueled by your environment. The media you consume, the people you surround yourself with, and the messages you receive from society all shape your desires. If you're constantly bombarded with images of success, beauty, or wealth, it's easy to internalize those messages and start to believe that you need those things to be happy. But when you understand the external influences that shape your desires, you can begin to question them. Do I truly want this, or is this desire coming from outside of me? At the same time, it's important to recognize that not all desires are superficial or harmful. Some desires are deeply aligned with your soul's purpose. These are the desires that inspire you, that call you to grow, to become more than you are today. The key is learning to differentiate between the desires that serve your highest good and those that distract you from it. By understanding the root of your desires, you can make that distinction with greater clarity. Understanding where your desires come from also allows you to be more compassionate with yourself. Instead of judging yourself for wanting something, you can approach it with curiosity and openness. You can ask yourself, what is this desire really about? What am I seeking beneath the surface? Often, when you dig deeper, you'll find that the desire isn't truly about the object of your craving. It's about something much deeper, like a need for love, connection, or peace. Once you understand that deeper need, you can begin to meet it in healthier, more fulfilling ways. By exploring the roots of your desires, you also learn to cultivate patience. You stop reacting impulsively to every want and start to reflect. You give yourself the space to pause, to understand, and to choose. This is where true empowerment comes from, not from suppressing or ignoring your desires, but from understanding them so deeply that they no longer have the power to control you. When you understand where your desires come from, you open the door to transformation. You begin to see that your desires are not fixed, unchangeable forces. They are shaped by your experiences, your thoughts, and your beliefs. And when you change those inner landscapes, your desires change as well. You no longer feel enslaved by your wants. Instead, you feel a sense of freedom and peace, knowing that you have the power to master your mind and choose the path that truly aligns with your highest self. Understanding the roots of your desires is a powerful act of self-discovery. It allows you to see your mind with clarity, to embrace your humanity with compassion, and to walk the path of mastery with wisdom. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Control. Letting go of over-attachment. One of the most powerful lessons you can learn is that trying to control everything in your life often leads to frustration and suffering. Desires, when left unchecked, can create an illusion that by obtaining or achieving something, you will finally have control over your happiness. But the truth is, The more you cling to this idea, the further you drift from true peace. Letting go of over-attachment is the first step toward freeing yourself from the chains that bind your mind. The illusion of control often begins with the belief that once you have what you desire, everything will fall into place. It could be a material possession, a relationship, or even an achievement. You convince yourself that attaining these things will bring you fulfillment, and in doing so, you become attached to the outcome. But the reality is that no external thing can guarantee lasting happiness. Desires are ever-changing, and even when you fulfill one, another will inevitably take its place. You chase the next thing, hoping it will complete you, yet the feeling of dissatisfaction remains. When you cling tightly to your desires, you give them the power to control you. The fear of losing what you have or not getting what you want creates anxiety, tension, and stress. You become trapped in a cycle of craving, where your happiness is always just out of reach, always dependent on something outside of yourself. But this is an illusion. True happiness and fulfillment cannot be found in external things. They come from within, from the ability to let go of the need to control and instead trust in the flow of life. Letting go of over-attachment doesn't mean giving up on your desires altogether. It simply means loosening your grip. It means realizing that you can want something without becoming consumed by the outcome. You can pursue your goals, enjoy your relationships, and appreciate the material world without letting them define you or your worth. This shift in mindset allows you to move through life with greater ease and flexibility, trusting that whatever comes your way, you have the inner strength to handle it. When you release the need to control, you create space for something far more powerful: freedom. You free yourself from the constant worry of whether you will get what you want or lose what you have. You free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of attachment, where every high is followed by a low. Instead, you find a sense of peace and stability within yourself. You learn to embrace life as it is, not as you wish it to be. This process of letting go begins with awareness. Notice when you are becoming overly attached to an outcome or object. Ask yourself, why am I so invested in this? What do I believe it will bring me? Often, you will find that the answer is rooted in fear: fear of not being enough, fear of losing, or fear of failure. When you recognize this, you can begin to dismantle the illusion. You can remind yourself that your worth is not tied to what you have or achieve, and that your true power comes from within. Letting go of over-attachment also means embracing uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how hard you try, you cannot control every outcome. But in accepting this uncertainty, you also open yourself up to new possibilities. You allow life to unfold in ways that you may not have anticipated, but that often lead to deeper growth and greater joy than you could have imagined. By letting go of the illusion of control, you reclaim your freedom. You realize that you are not at the mercy of your desires, but rather, you have the power to shape your relationship with them. You are free to pursue your dreams, but you are also free to let go of the need to control every detail. And in that letting go, you discover the true essence of peace, the peace that comes from knowing that you are enough, just as you are, regardless of the outcome. Chapter 4. The Calm Within. Cultivating Inner Stillness. In a world that constantly pulls you in different directions, finding inner stillness may seem like a distant goal. Yet, it is within this stillness that you discover your true power. The calm within you is a wellspring of strength and clarity that allows you to navigate life's challenges without being overwhelmed by them. Cultivating inner stillness isn't about escaping the world or avoiding your desires. It's about creating a peaceful space within yourself where you can observe your thoughts and emotions without being swept away by them. The journey toward inner stillness begins with the understanding that true peace is not found in external circumstances. You may believe that if only things around you were different, if only you had more time, more money, or fewer problems, you would feel calm. But external situations are always changing, and pinning your peace to them is like trying to anchor yourself to a moving ship. Inner stillness, on the other hand, is something you can cultivate regardless of what's happening around you. It's a state of being that comes from within, and it starts with being fully present in the moment. To cultivate this calm, you must first quiet the noise of your mind. Your thoughts are often racing, jumping from one desire to the next, one worry to another. But when you slow down and observe your thoughts without judgment, you begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. This simple act of observation creates space between you and your desires, between you and the chaos of the world. In this space, stillness can grow. Inner stillness is not about suppressing your desires or ignoring your emotions. It's about creating a balanced relationship with them. When a desire arises, you can acknowledge it without letting it dominate your mind. You can feel the pull of your emotions without being carried away by them. This balance allows you to respond to life with clarity and intention rather than reacting impulsively. The more you practice this, the more you realize that you don't need to chase every desire that comes your way. You can be still, centered, and grounded in yourself. Stillness also helps you reconnect with your deeper self, the part of you that is not defined by external achievements or material possessions. In the quiet moments, when you are not distracted by the noise of the world, you can hear the voice of your true self. This is the voice that knows what you truly need, what truly brings you joy, and what your higher purpose is. It's in this stillness that you find the answers you've been searching for, not outside of you, but within. Cultivating inner stillness takes practice, but it is one of the most powerful tools for taming your mind. You can start by carving out moments of quiet each day, whether through meditation, mindful breathing, or simply sitting in silence. These moments of stillness allow you to step away from the constant stream of thoughts and desires, giving you the space to reconnect with yourself. As you cultivate inner stillness, you'll notice that you are less reactive to the ups and downs of life. You'll no longer feel the need to rush toward every desire or react to every challenge. Instead, you'll be able to approach each situation with a calm, steady mind. This inner calm doesn't mean that life will be without challenges, but it means that you will have the clarity and strength to face them without losing your peace. The calm within you is always there, waiting for you to tap into it. It is your refuge, your source of power, and the key to mastering your desires. When you cultivate this inner stillness, you discover that true peace doesn't come from controlling the world around you, it comes from controlling the world within you. And in that stillness, you find the freedom to live with clarity, purpose, and unshakable peace. Chapter 5. The Balance Between Desire and Discipline. Finding the balance between desire and discipline is one of the most powerful skills you can develop in your life. Desires, when harnessed with discipline, can drive you toward achieving your highest goals and deepest purpose. But when desires run unchecked, they can lead you down paths of distraction, impulsivity, and regret. Discipline, on the other hand, is the force that transforms fleeting desires into lasting achievements. It allows you to stay focused and committed, even when the temptation to veer off course is strong. At its core, balance is about harmony. It's about understanding that desire and discipline are not enemies, they are partners. Desire is the spark that ignites passion, creativity, and ambition. Without desire, life would lack energy and motivation. But desire on its own can be wild and unpredictable, pulling you in multiple directions at once. Discipline is the force that channels your desires into meaningful action. It's the steady hand that guides you, helping you make decisions that are aligned with your long-term vision, rather than being swayed by short-term temptations. To find this balance, you must first acknowledge your desires without judgment. Desire, in itself, is not wrong. It's a natural part of being human, and it can be a source of inspiration and drive. The key is not to suppress your desires, but to understand them. Ask yourself, is this desire aligned with my higher purpose? Will it bring me closer to the person I want to become, or is it a temporary distraction? When you bring this level of awareness to your desires, you can make conscious choices about which ones to pursue and which to let go. Discipline, however, requires commitment. It's the practice of making choices that support your long-term goals, even when it's uncomfortable or difficult. Discipline is what keeps you on track when your mind tries to convince you to take the easier path. It's the voice inside that reminds you of your true priorities, even when desire tempts you to stray. But discipline doesn't have to feel rigid or punishing. In fact, when paired with desire, it can be a source of deep satisfaction and fulfillment. The secret to balancing desire and discipline is to allow them to work together. Let your desires fuel your motivation, but let discipline guide your actions. When you feel the pull of a desire, pause and reflect on whether it aligns with your long-term goals. If it does, then use discipline to turn that desire into a plan of action. If it doesn't, then have the discipline to let it go and stay focused on what truly matters. This balance allows you to move through life with purpose and intention, rather than being at the mercy of fleeting cravings. Discipline is also about consistency. It's not about being perfect, but about showing up for yourself day after day, even when it's hard. It's about building habits that support your growth, even when the immediate reward isn't visible. Over time, this consistency compounds into results that far exceed the gratification of a momentary desire. And as you strengthen your discipline, you'll find that your desires naturally begin to shift. You'll start to desire the things that are aligned with your highest good: growth, health, wisdom, and fulfillment, rather than the temporary pleasures that once distracted you. Balance doesn't mean denying yourself pleasure or joy. It means cultivating the wisdom to know when to indulge and when to practice restraint. It means understanding that true fulfillment comes from aligning your desires with your deeper values and using discipline to stay on course. When you master this balance, you unlock the ability to create a life that is both joyful and meaningful, where your desires inspire you and your discipline empowers you. By finding the balance between desire and discipline, you become the architect of your life. You are no longer pulled in 100 different directions, chasing every impulse or craving. Instead, you walk a steady path toward your dreams, fueled by desire and guided by discipline. This is the path to mastery, where you live with intention, purpose, and a deep sense of fulfillment. Chapter 6. Redirecting Energy, Turning Desires into Motivation. Every desire you experience is a form of energy. It's a force that can either pull you toward distraction or push you toward purpose. The difference lies in how you choose to direct that energy. When you learn to harness your desires and redirect their energy toward something meaningful, you transform them from fleeting impulses into powerful sources of motivation. This is where the real magic happens, when desire fuels your drive, rather than derailing your focus. The energy behind desire is neutral. It's neither good nor bad, but it's incredibly powerful. Left unchecked, it can lead you down paths of indulgence, temptation, and distraction. But when you consciously choose to redirect that energy, it can propel you forward toward your goals and dreams. The key is not to suppress your desires, but to understand them and channel them into something constructive. Imagine for a moment that every time you feel the surge of a desire, you have an opportunity. You can either let it control you, pulling you toward instant gratification, or you can take that same energy and refocus it. Ask yourself, how can I use this energy to move closer to my true purpose? This shift in perspective is the first step toward transforming desires into motivation. It's important to recognize that desire, in its purest form, is not the enemy. Desire is the spark that ignites ambition and passion. It's the force that pushes you to grow, to achieve, and to become more than you were yesterday. The problem arises when desire is misdirected, leading you toward temporary pleasures rather than lasting fulfillment. But when you learn to redirect that energy, desire becomes one of your greatest allies. One of the most powerful ways to redirect desire is by aligning it with a higher goal. When you feel a desire arise, pause and reflect on how it can serve a greater purpose. For example, the desire for comfort might be redirected into creating a life that offers long-term peace rather than short-term pleasure. The desire for recognition can be transformed into the motivation to contribute meaningfully to the world. By aligning your desires with your long-term vision, you turn them into powerful motivators rather than distractions. This process requires awareness and intention. It's easy to get caught up in the intensity of a desire, feeling as though you have to act on it immediately. But when you take a moment to pause and reflect, you give yourself the space to choose how to use that energy. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond with clarity. This is how you begin to master your desires, rather than letting them master you. Redirecting desire also involves discipline. It's not about denying yourself what you want, but about training your mind to see the bigger picture. Every time you redirect a desire, you are strengthening your ability to focus on what truly matters. You're cultivating a mindset that prioritizes long-term growth over short-term satisfaction. This discipline doesn't come overnight, but with practice, it becomes second nature. Over time, you'll find that your desires naturally align with your higher goals because you've trained your mind to seek what truly fulfills you. The beautiful thing about redirecting desire is that it doesn't require you to eliminate or suppress anything. Instead, it empowers you to use the energy of desire to fuel your ambitions. When you turn your desires into motivation, you harness a powerful force that can drive you toward your dreams. You're no longer a slave to your impulses. You're in control of them, using them to create the life you want. As you continue on this journey of mastering your mind, remember that every desire you feel is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to move closer to your true purpose. The more you practice redirecting your desires, the more powerful your motivation will become. And with that motivation, you'll find that there's nothing you can't achieve. You have the power to take the energy of your desires and transform it into a force for good, a force that drives you toward the life you've always wanted. Chapter 7. The Art of Patience. Delaying gratification for long-term gains. Patience is often overlooked in a world that prioritizes speed and instant results. But when it comes to mastering your desires, patience is one of the most powerful tools you can cultivate. The art of patience is about learning to delay gratification, to hold back from indulging in temporary pleasures in order to achieve something greater down the road. It's about trusting that the effort you invest now, even if it doesn't yield immediate results, will lead to long-term gains and lasting fulfillment. Desires, by their very nature, crave instant satisfaction. Whether it's the desire for food, success, recognition, or material possessions, there's often a part of you that wants it right now. But the wisdom of patience teaches you that not every desire needs to be fulfilled immediately. In fact, some of the most rewarding things in life come from waiting, from practicing restraint, and from allowing time to unfold naturally. Delaying gratification is not about depriving yourself of what you want. Instead, it's about developing the maturity to understand that immediate pleasure is often fleeting, while long-term rewards bring deeper, more meaningful satisfaction. When you master the art of patience, you begin to see the value in waiting. You recognize that the process itself, whether it's the work you put into a project, the time it takes to develop a relationship, or the discipline required to reach a goal, is just as important as the outcome. The key to practicing patience is shifting your mindset. Instead of seeing waiting as something negative, embrace it as an opportunity for growth. Patience teaches you resilience, perseverance, and self-control. It helps you stay focused on the bigger picture, reminding you that true success often takes time. When you delay gratification, you are exercising control over your impulses, choosing not to be ruled by the urgency of desire, but rather by the wisdom of long-term vision. One of the greatest benefits of patience is that it frees you from the constant need for more. In a world that encourages instant gratification, it's easy to feel like you're always chasing the next thing. But when you learn to be patient, you stop rushing toward every desire. You start to appreciate the journey, trusting that what's meant for you will come in due time. This shift allows you to live with a sense of calm and inner peace, knowing that you don't need to force things to happen. You simply need to stay committed and trust the process. Patience also strengthens your resolve. Every time you choose to delay gratification, you are building your willpower. You are proving to yourself that you have the strength to wait, to endure, and to stay the course. This resilience not only helps you achieve your goals, but also transforms your relationship with desire. You begin to see that you don't need to chase every impulse. You have the power to choose when and how to fulfill your desires, and in doing so, you take control of your mind. The art of patience requires faith, not just in the process, but in yourself. It requires you to believe that your efforts will be rewarded, even if you don't see the results right away. Patience is trusting that the seeds you plant today will grow into something beautiful, even if it takes time. And when those rewards do come, they are often far more satisfying than anything you could have gained through instant gratification. In mastering patience, you are mastering one of the most important aspects of desire, the ability to wait for what truly matters. You are learning that life is not about rushing to the next moment, but about being present in the one you're in, while still keeping your eyes on the future. This balance between patience and ambition is where true success lies. As you continue to practice patience, you'll find that the more you delay gratification, the more fulfilling your life becomes. You'll discover that waiting for something doesn't diminish its value, it enhances it. And in that waiting, you'll find not just the rewards of your efforts, but also the peace and contentment that come from knowing you are in control of your desires, not the other way around. Chapter 8. Embracing Impermanence. Understanding the transient nature of desire. One of the most liberating truths you can embrace is the impermanence of all things, including your desires. Every desire you experience, no matter how intense or compelling, has a beginning, a peak, and an end. It rises within you, demanding attention, but with time and awareness, it inevitably fades. Understanding the transient nature of desire helps you see that you don't have to be controlled by every craving, every impulse that arises. You can step back, observe, and let them pass without being swept away by them. Life itself is a constant flow of change, and your desires are no different. What you crave today may not even be relevant to you tomorrow. Yet, when a desire arises, it often feels urgent, as though satisfying it will bring you lasting happiness. But this is an illusion. The joy or relief that comes from fulfilling a desire is temporary, just like the desire itself. Once you recognize this truth, you can stop chasing temporary pleasures and start seeking something deeper, lasting contentment that doesn't depend on fulfilling every passing want. Embracing impermanence doesn't mean rejecting your desires or pretending they don't exist. It means acknowledging them, feeling them fully, but also understanding that they are not permanent fixtures in your life. When you become aware of this transience, you develop a healthy detachment from your desires. You don't cling to them or let them define you. Instead, you experience them without letting them control you. This understanding also helps you develop patience and resilience. When you know that a desire will eventually pass, you don't feel the need to act on it immediately. You can sit with the discomfort, knowing that it's only temporary. In doing so, you build the strength to resist impulsive actions and make choices that are aligned with your higher purpose. You realize that you don't need to satisfy every craving, because the craving itself is fleeting. Impermanence also invites you to reflect on the bigger picture. What are you truly seeking in life? Is it the short-lived pleasure of satisfying a desire, or is it something more enduring, like inner peace, fulfillment, or wisdom? When you shift your focus from chasing temporary pleasures to cultivating lasting contentment, your relationship with desire changes. You no longer feel enslaved by every want that arises. Instead, you choose which desires are worth pursuing and which can be let go. Embracing the impermanence of desire also brings a sense of freedom. When you understand that nothing, no desire, no experience, no situation, lasts forever, you stop gripping so tightly to outcomes. You begin to flow with life, accepting that change is the only constant. This doesn't mean you stop pursuing your goals or fulfilling your needs. It means you do so with a lightness of heart, knowing that even if things don't turn out exactly as you planned, it's okay. Everything is part of the unfolding process. This realization can also alleviate a great deal of suffering. Often, suffering arises not from the desire itself, but from your attachment to it. You suffer because you believe you need something to be happy, or because you fear losing what you have. But when you embrace impermanence, you understand that nothing is ever truly yours to keep. Everything in life is borrowed for a time, including your desires. This shift in perspective allows you to enjoy life more fully, without the fear of loss or the pressure to constantly acquire more. As you come to terms with the impermanence of desire, you'll find that your mind becomes more peaceful. You no longer feel the constant pull of wanting, of needing something outside yourself to feel complete. Instead, you tap into a deeper sense of contentment, one that is rooted not in external circumstances, but in the understanding that everything is temporary, and that's okay. By embracing impermanence, you free yourself from the endless cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. You learn to appreciate the beauty of each moment without trying to hold on to it. You understand that desires will come and go, just like the tides, and you can choose to let them pass without being carried away. In doing so, you step into a life of greater freedom, peace, and clarity. You no longer need to chase every fleeting desire. Instead, you can rest in the calm assurance that you have everything you need within you, and that true contentment is found in embracing the flow of life. Chapter 9. Breaking Free from Impulse. Overcoming Temptations. In moments of impulse, it often feels as though your desires have taken full control of you. Whether it's the pull of an immediate craving, the allure of temptation, or the urge to indulge in something that offers temporary pleasure, impulses can be powerful and difficult to resist. But breaking free from impulse is possible, and in doing so, you reclaim control over your mind, your choices, and ultimately your life. Overcoming temptations isn't about willpower alone. It's about developing the awareness and strategies to make conscious decisions that align with your highest self. Impulse thrives in moments of weakness, distraction, or emotional vulnerability. When you're stressed, anxious, or tired, your mind is more prone to seeking quick relief through instant gratification. This is when temptations can feel overwhelming. But it's important to remember that impulses are fleeting. What feels urgent in the moment often fades quickly when you pause and bring awareness to the situation. The first step in breaking free from impulse is learning to create that pause. When you feel the urge to act on an impulse, take a moment to stop and breathe. This simple act of slowing down allows you to step back from the intensity of the desire and observe it from a place of calm. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this impulse? What is driving it? Is this something I truly need, or is it a temporary distraction? By asking these questions, you shift from a reactive state to a reflective one, giving yourself the space to make a conscious choice rather than being controlled by the impulse. Temptations often arise because they offer immediate pleasure or relief, but that relief is usually short-lived. The satisfaction you get from indulging in an impulse quickly fades, leaving you either craving more or feeling regret for having acted against your better judgment. The key to overcoming temptations is to remind yourself of the long-term consequences of your actions. What will this impulse cost you in the future? Will it move you closer to your goals, or will it set you back? By focusing on the bigger picture, you strengthen your ability to resist short-term temptations in favor of long-term fulfillment. Breaking free from impulse also requires self-compassion. You won't always get it right, and that's okay. There will be moments when the temptation is strong, and you may give in. But rather than judging yourself harshly, approach those moments with understanding and a commitment to learn from them. Each time you reflect on an impulse, whether you acted on it or resisted it, you gain valuable insight into your own mind. You begin to recognize the triggers that lead to impulsive behavior, and with that awareness, you can start to avoid those triggers or respond to them more effectively. Another powerful tool in overcoming temptation is preparation. You can't always control when an impulse will arise, but you can prepare yourself to handle it when it does. By cultivating habits of mindfulness and self-awareness, you build a strong foundation that helps you stay grounded even in moments of temptation. Regular practices such as meditation, journaling, or even simply reflecting on your goals each day can help strengthen your mental resolve. These practices create a buffer between you and the impulses that try to derail your progress. It's also important to recognize that not all desires are negative. Some impulses can serve as signals that something deeper within you needs attention. For example, an impulse to indulge in comfort food might be a sign that you're feeling emotionally drained and need to nurture yourself in healthier ways. Rather than fighting every impulse, learn to listen to what it's telling you. Sometimes the key to overcoming temptation is not to resist it forcefully, but to address the underlying need in a more constructive way. As you break free from impulsive behavior, you'll find that your mind becomes clearer and your sense of control strengthens. You are no longer at the mercy of every passing temptation, and that gives you a sense of freedom and empowerment. You realize that you have the power to choose how you respond to your desires. You can acknowledge them without being ruled by them. You can pause, reflect, and decide whether acting on an impulse aligns with the person you want to become. In mastering your impulses, you unlock the ability to live with greater intention. Your decisions are no longer driven by fleeting urges, but by a deep commitment to your own growth and well-being. The temptations that once felt overwhelming lose their grip on you, because you have developed the inner strength to pause, reflect, and choose wisely. This is the essence of self-mastery, knowing that you have the power to break free from impulse and live a life that is guided by clarity, purpose, and true freedom. Chapter 10. Mindful Living. How to stay present amidst desires. In a world filled with distractions, staying present can feel like an elusive goal. Desires constantly pull you into thoughts about the future or regrets about the past, leaving you disconnected from the richness of the present moment. But when you learn to live mindfully, you cultivate the ability to remain fully aware, grounded, and centered, even amidst your desires. Mindful living is about embracing each moment as it is, without being consumed by what you want or what you fear. At its core, mindfulness is about presence. It's about bringing your full attention to the here and now, instead of getting lost in the endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. So often, desires take you out of the present moment, making you believe that happiness lies somewhere else, whether it's in achieving a future goal or acquiring something you currently lack. But the truth is, the present moment is the only place where life truly happens. When you're not present, you miss out on the beauty, peace, and fulfillment that are available to you right now. Staying present amidst desires requires a shift in perspective. It's not about suppressing or denying your desires, but about learning to observe them without letting them control your mind. When a desire arises, you can acknowledge it without immediately reacting to it. You can notice the thoughts and emotions that come with the desire, but instead of being swept away, you remain grounded in the present. This mindful awareness creates space between you and your desires, giving you the power to respond with intention rather than impulsively. One of the most powerful tools for staying present is mindful breathing. When you feel a desire pulling you out of the present moment, take a few deep breaths and focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. This simple practice helps you anchor your awareness in the present and calms the mind. By connecting with your breath, you remind yourself that you don't have to chase every desire that arises. You can remain still, centered, and fully engaged with the present. Another key aspect of mindful living is acceptance. So often, desires arise from a place of resistance to what is, and a yearning for something different. You want things to be better, easier, or more comfortable. But mindfulness invites you to accept the present moment as it is, without needing to change it. This doesn't mean you stop pursuing your goals or ignore your desires. It means that you stop fighting against the current reality and find peace in the present, knowing that it's enough. Mindful living also involves paying attention to the small moments of life that are often overlooked. When you're caught up in desire, it's easy to miss the beauty that surrounds you, the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the taste of your food. By staying present, you become more attuned to these details, and life becomes richer and more fulfilling. You realize that happiness isn't something to be chased, it's something to be experienced right here, in this moment. Another benefit of mindful living is that it helps you see your desires with greater clarity. When you're fully present, you can discern which desires are worth pursuing and which are simply distractions. You become more attuned to your inner wisdom, which guides you toward what truly matters. Mindfulness helps you recognize that not all desires lead to fulfillment, and that some are born from fear, insecurity, or a desire to escape discomfort. By staying present, you can make conscious choices about which desires to follow and which to release. Living mindfully amidst desires also cultivates gratitude. When you're present, you begin to appreciate what you already have rather than constantly yearning for more. You become aware of the abundance in your life, the relationships, experiences, and opportunities that bring you joy. This shift from a mindset of lack to one of gratitude transforms your relationship with desire. You no longer feel like you need something outside yourself to be happy, because you've learned to find contentment in the present. Mindful living is a practice, and like any practice, it takes time and patience. There will be moments when desires feel overwhelming, and your mind drifts away from the present. But with each breath, each moment of awareness, you strengthen your ability to stay grounded in the now. The more you practice, the more you realize that the present moment is all you ever need. By embracing mindful living, you unlock the power to stay present amidst your desires. You no longer need to chase happiness in the future or dwell on the past. Instead, you find peace, joy, and fulfillment in the here and now. Mindful living is the path to freedom, where you learn to experience life fully without being bound by the constant pull of desire. And in this presence, you discover the true essence of contentment, where every moment becomes an opportunity to live with purpose, clarity, and grace. Chapter 11. Desires and the Ego. Disentangling your self-worth. Desires are often deeply intertwined with the ego, the part of you that seeks validation, recognition, and a sense of identity from external sources. The ego craves approval, success, and material achievements to feel worthy and complete. It convinces you that by fulfilling your desires, you will finally be enough. But true self-worth isn't found in the pursuit of external desires. It comes from within. Disentangling your self-worth from your desires is a crucial step in mastering the mind and living a life of inner peace. The ego thrives on comparison and competition. It constantly measures your worth against others, how much you have, how successful you are, how admired you are. This creates a cycle where your desires are driven not by genuine need or purpose, but by a desire to prove yourself to the world. You start chasing things that promise to enhance your status, make you look better, or provide a sense of superiority. But this is a trap. No matter how much you achieve or acquire, the ego will always want more. The moment you satisfy one desire, it will push you toward the next, leaving you in a constant state of striving and dissatisfaction. Disentangling your self-worth from your desires begins with understanding that your value is not determined by external achievements or possessions. You are inherently worthy, simply because you exist. This is a difficult truth for the ego to accept because the ego thrives on doing, achieving, and acquiring. But when you shift your focus from external validation to internal validation, you begin to realize that your worth is not tied to anything outside of you. It doesn't depend on how much money you make, how many accolades you receive, or how many people admire you. Your worth is intrinsic, unshakable, and constant. The first step in breaking the link between your desires and your self-worth is awareness. Start by noticing how often your desires are tied to a need for validation. Are you striving for success because it aligns with your purpose, or because it will make you feel more important? Are you pursuing a relationship because it's meaningful, or because it will boost your sense of self-esteem? By bringing awareness to the motivations behind your desires, you begin to see the ego's influence. Once you recognize this, you can start to make choices from a place of authenticity rather than ego-driven need. True self-worth comes from a deep connection to your inner self, not from the external world. When you start to cultivate this inner connection, you realize that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to fulfill every desire to feel complete. You are already complete, just as you are. This realization is freeing because it liberates you from the constant need to chase after things that you believe will make you feel worthy. You stop looking for validation outside of yourself and start finding it within. As you disentangle your self-worth from your desires, you also free yourself from the fear of failure. The ego is terrified of failure because it believes that failure diminishes your value. But when you understand that your worth is not tied to any outcome, failure loses its sting. You realize that failing doesn't make you any less worthy, it's simply part of the learning process. This allows you to take risks, pursue your passions, and live boldly without the fear of not measuring up. Disentangling your self-worth from your desires also helps you cultivate deeper, more meaningful relationships. When your worth is tied to the ego's desires, relationships can become transactional. You seek out people who boost your sense of status, and you fear losing those who validate your identity. But when you no longer rely on others to make you feel worthy, you can engage in relationships from a place of love and connection, not need. You become free to give and receive without the ego's interference, and your relationships become more authentic and fulfilling. The journey to disentangle your self-worth from your desires is not about rejecting ambition or the pursuit of goals. It's about shifting the motivation behind your pursuits. When your self-worth is no longer tied to what you achieve or possess, you can pursue your desires from a place of passion and purpose rather than ego-driven need. You're no longer chasing things to prove your worth. You're simply following the path that feels true to you. As you let go of the ego's grip on your desires, you'll find a profound sense of peace. You'll no longer be constantly striving for more, seeking validation, or fearing failure. Instead, you'll feel a deep sense of contentment, knowing that your worth is not dependent on anything external. You are already whole. You are already enough. And when you live from this truth, you become free from the ego's demands, free from the cycle of desire, and free to live a life of purpose, authenticity, and inner peace. Chapter 12. Healthy Ambitions. Transforming Desires into Purpose. Ambition, when rooted in clarity and purpose, is a powerful force that can propel you toward your highest potential. Desires, too, can be transformed into something meaningful when they are aligned with your true purpose rather than the fleeting cravings of the moment. Healthy ambitions are those that not only fulfill your personal desires but also contribute to your growth, well-being, and the greater good. In transforming your desires into purposeful ambitions, you unlock the key to a life of fulfillment and lasting success. The key difference between fleeting desires and healthy ambitions is intent. Desires often arise from a place of temporary need or external validation. They are about satisfying an immediate craving, whether that's for recognition, material possessions, or a sense of accomplishment. These desires can sometimes lead to short-term success, but they rarely bring lasting happiness. Healthy ambitions, on the other hand, come from a place of inner alignment. They are not about proving yourself to others or acquiring things for the sake of it. They are about fulfilling your deeper purpose and contributing something meaningful to the world. The first step in transforming desires into healthy ambitions is to identify the underlying motivations behind your desires. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Why do I want it? How will achieving this desire make me feel? By probing deeper into the reasons behind your desires, you gain insight into whether they are driven by ego or by a genuine desire to grow and contribute. Once you have this clarity, you can begin to reshape your desires into ambitions that are aligned with your higher purpose. Healthy ambitions are fueled by passion, not by pressure. When you are working toward something that truly matters to you, you feel a sense of excitement and drive, even when the journey is challenging. Your ambition becomes a source of inspiration rather than stress. It's no longer about chasing external rewards, but about pursuing something that gives your life meaning. This shift allows you to remain motivated even when progress is slow or obstacles arise, because you are driven by a purpose greater than yourself. Transforming desires into purpose-driven ambitions also requires patience. Unlike fleeting desires, which seek instant gratification, healthy ambitions often take time to manifest. They require consistent effort, discipline, and resilience. But the beauty of this journey is that every step brings you closer to the person you are meant to become. Each challenge you face strengthens your resolve, and each small victory along the way builds your confidence and sense of fulfillment. Healthy ambitions also consider the impact you have on others. When your desires are solely focused on your own gain, they can lead to selfishness or harm. But when your ambitions are rooted in purpose, they naturally extend beyond yourself. You start to consider how your goals can contribute to the well-being of others, how your work can inspire and uplift those around you. This shift in perspective brings a deeper sense of fulfillment, as you realize that your ambitions are not just about personal success, but about leaving a positive mark on the world. One of the most important aspects of healthy ambition is balance. It's easy to become consumed by the drive to achieve, especially when you're passionate about your goals. But true ambition is not about sacrificing your well-being for the sake of success. It's about finding a balance between working toward your goals and taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical health. When you prioritize balance, you can sustain your ambitions over the long term without burning out or losing sight of what truly matters. As you transform your desires into healthy ambitions, you'll notice that your focus shifts from the outcome to the process. Instead of constantly striving to reach the next milestone, you begin to appreciate the journey itself. You find joy in the daily effort, in the small steps that lead you closer to your purpose. This mindset not only makes the journey more enjoyable, but also deepens your connection to your ambitions. You realize that success isn't just about achieving a specific goal, it's about living with intention and purpose every day. In embracing healthy ambitions, you step into a life of greater fulfillment. Your desires no longer control you. Instead, they serve as a compass, guiding you toward your true purpose. You no longer feel the need to chase after every fleeting want or external validation. Instead, you pursue what truly matters to you, driven by a sense of purpose that goes beyond personal gain. This is the essence of healthy ambition, living a life where your desires are aligned with your values, your actions are purposeful, and your success is measured not just by what you achieve, but by how you grow and contribute along the way. By transforming your desires into healthy ambitions, you unlock the potential for a life of true meaning and fulfillment. You realize that ambition isn't about constantly striving for more, it's about living with purpose, passion, and balance. And in doing so, you create a life that not only satisfies your desires, but also brings lasting joy, peace, and impact to the world around you. Chapter 13. The Role of Contentment. Finding Satisfaction Beyond Cravings. In the pursuit of desires, it's easy to get caught in a cycle of always wanting more, always chasing the next achievement, the next thrill, the next possession. But true fulfillment comes not from the endless pursuit of desires, but from cultivating contentment. Contentment is the quiet, steady joy of appreciating what you have, who you are, and where you are in this moment. It is the realization that satisfaction does not depend on constantly fulfilling cravings, but on finding peace within yourself, no matter the circumstances. Contentment is not about giving up on your dreams or suppressing your ambitions. It's about shifting your perspective from always striving for more to appreciating what is already present in your life. When you learn to be content, you stop placing your happiness on some future event, goal, or possession. Instead, you find joy in the simple, everyday moments. You begin to understand that you don't need to achieve, acquire, or possess something outside of yourself to feel complete. You are already whole. The root of discontentment often lies in comparison. You look around and see what others have, and suddenly, what you have feels insufficient. The desire for more creeps in, and with it, the dissatisfaction with your current situation. But when you let go of comparison and focus on your own journey, you begin to see the abundance in your life. Contentment arises not from having everything, but from recognizing the richness of what you already have. Living with contentment doesn't mean you stop having desires or ambitions. It means you pursue them with a sense of peace rather than desperation. You can still set goals and strive for growth, but you do so with the understanding that your happiness is not dependent on the outcome. You realize that while achieving your desires may bring temporary joy, lasting satisfaction comes from within. Contentment allows you to approach life with balance, knowing that you can enjoy the present while working toward the future. One of the greatest gifts of contentment is freedom from the constant craving for more. Desires, by their nature, are insatiable. As soon as you fulfill one, another arises. If you place your happiness on the fulfillment of every desire, you will always be chasing, never arriving. Contentment breaks this cycle. It frees you from the need to constantly pursue external things for your happiness. Instead, it roots you in the present moment, where you can find peace and joy regardless of what you have or don't have. Contentment also nurtures gratitude. When you are content, you begin to see the beauty and blessings in your life that you may have overlooked. You become grateful for the relationships, opportunities, and experiences that fill your days. Gratitude, in turn, deepens your contentment, creating a positive cycle of appreciation and peace. This doesn't mean you won't ever feel the pull of desire. It's natural to want more at times, but gratitude helps you balance those desires with a sense of fulfillment in what already is. At its heart, contentment is about acceptance. It's about accepting yourself, your life, and your circumstances as they are, without constantly wishing for something different. This acceptance doesn't mean you stop growing or striving. It means you make peace with where you are, even as you work toward where you want to go. It's a balance between ambition and serenity, between effort and ease. When you live in this balance, you find that you can enjoy both the journey and the destination. Contentment also gives you resilience in the face of challenges. When life doesn't go as planned, or when desires go unfulfilled, contentment helps you weather the storm with grace. Instead of feeling devastated or defeated, you find peace in the understanding that your happiness isn't tied to external outcomes. You can still experience joy and satisfaction, even when things don't turn out the way you hoped. This inner stability makes you stronger, more adaptable, and more at peace with life's uncertainties. Ultimately, contentment is a practice. It's something you cultivate daily, by choosing to focus on what is good in your life rather than what is lacking. It's about pausing in moments of desire to remind yourself that you are enough, that you have enough. It's about finding joy in the simple pleasures, the warmth of the sun, the laughter of a friend, the quiet of a peaceful evening. When you practice contentment, you train your mind to find satisfaction not in the constant pursuit of more, but in the abundance of the present moment. By embracing contentment, you transform your relationship with desire. You no longer feel the constant pressure to chase after every craving, because you've learned that true satisfaction comes from within. You become free to pursue your goals with joy rather than neediness, and you discover a deep well of peace that is unaffected by the ups and downs of life. Contentment is not the absence of desire, it's the understanding that you already have everything you need to be happy, right here, right now. And in that understanding, you find true fulfillment. Chapter 14. Emotional Intelligence. Managing Desires Through Self-Awareness. Emotions are powerful drivers of desire. They shape your thoughts, influence your decisions, and often fuel the cravings that arise within you. Without emotional awareness, you can easily become reactive, letting desires control your actions in ways that lead to regret or dissatisfaction. But when you develop emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage your emotions, you gain the power to navigate desires with clarity and self-control. Emotional intelligence allows you to harness the energy of your emotions in ways that serve your higher purpose, rather than being swayed by fleeting impulses. At the heart of emotional intelligence is self-awareness. It's the ability to tune into your emotions, to recognize what you're feeling and why. Desires often spring from emotional needs, whether it's the desire for comfort when you're feeling stressed, the urge for validation when you're feeling insecure, or the craving for distraction when you're feeling bored or anxious. When you are aware of the emotions driving your desires, you can step back and assess whether acting on those desires will truly serve you in the long run. For instance, imagine a moment when you feel the sudden urge to buy something unnecessary or indulge in a behavior that you know isn't healthy. With emotional intelligence, instead of reacting automatically, you can pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What is this desire trying to satisfy? By bringing awareness to the emotion behind the desire, you can better understand the root cause and make a more conscious choice. Often, you'll find that the desire is a response to an emotional state that can be addressed in healthier, more fulfilling ways. Emotional intelligence also involves managing your emotions in a way that supports your well-being. When desires arise, especially those driven by strong emotions, it's easy to act impulsively. But managing your emotions means cultivating the ability to pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with your values and long-term goals. This doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring your emotions. Rather, it's about understanding them and using them as information to guide your decisions. Emotions are not something to be feared or avoided. They are signals that can help you navigate your desires more skillfully. Another important aspect of emotional intelligence is empathy, both toward yourself and others. When you develop empathy for yourself, you are more compassionate and understanding about your own emotional needs. You stop judging yourself for feeling a certain way, and instead, you approach your emotions with curiosity and kindness. This self-compassion allows you to handle desires with more balance and care. You recognize that it's okay to have desires, but you also understand that not all desires need to be acted upon immediately. You can give yourself the space to process your emotions and make choices that truly honor your well-being. Empathy also extends to how you relate to others. Often, desires are shaped by the emotions and expectations of those around you, whether it's the desire to be liked, to fit in, or to meet the standards set by others. Emotional intelligence helps you navigate these social dynamics with greater awareness. You become more attuned to how the desires of others might influence your own, and you can choose to act in ways that reflect your true self, rather than being driven by external pressures. This self-awareness strengthens your ability to stay true to your values, even in the face of social expectations. Emotional intelligence also helps you handle the disappointment of unmet desires. Not all desires will be fulfilled, and that's a reality of life. But with emotional intelligence, you can process the emotions that come with disappointment, whether it's frustration, sadness, or fear, without letting them overwhelm you. You develop the resilience to move forward, learning from the experience without being defined by it. This emotional resilience gives you the strength to keep pursuing what truly matters to you, even in the face of setbacks. Cultivating emotional intelligence takes practice, but it is one of the most valuable skills you can develop in mastering your desires. It allows you to respond to your emotions with wisdom and intention, rather than being reactive or impulsive. The more you tune into your emotional landscape, the better equipped you are to navigate your desires in a way that serves your long-term happiness and fulfillment. Emotional intelligence is not about denying your emotions or desires. It's about understanding them deeply and using that understanding to make choices that support your well-being. When you develop this self-awareness, you are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. You gain the ability to navigate life's challenges and desires with grace, clarity, and balance. Ultimately, emotional intelligence is about aligning your desires with your higher self. It's about recognizing that while emotions and desires are natural, They do not have to dictate your actions. You have the power to choose how you respond, to act in ways that are aligned with your values, and to live with a sense of peace and purpose. By cultivating emotional intelligence, you transform your relationship with desire and unlock the freedom to live a life guided by wisdom, not by impulse. Chapter 15. Freedom from External Validation, Reclaiming Your Inner Compass. In a world where validation from others often feels like the ultimate measure of success, it's easy to lose sight of your own inner compass. The desire for approval, recognition, and praise can become overwhelming, driving your actions and shaping your decisions. But true freedom comes from within, not from the fleeting approval of others. When you learn to let go of the need for external validation, you reclaim your power, your confidence, and your ability to live authentically. You stop seeking worth in the eyes of others and instead find it within yourself. The desire for validation is natural. From a young age, you've been conditioned to seek approval, whether from parents, teachers, friends, or society. It's reinforced by compliments, rewards, and attention, creating a cycle where your self-worth becomes tied to what others think of you. But the danger in this is that external validation is unreliable and temporary. One day you may receive praise, and the next day, criticism. If you rely on external validation to feel good about yourself, your sense of worth will always be unstable, rising and falling with the opinions of others. Reclaiming your inner compass begins with recognizing that your value does not depend on external approval. You are worthy simply because you exist, regardless of what others think or say. This realization is incredibly liberating because it allows you to break free from the constant need to please others or fit into their expectations. When you stop chasing validation from the outside, you can focus on living in alignment with your own values, passions, and purpose. You become free to make choices that reflect who you truly are, rather than who others want you to be. Letting go of the need for external validation doesn't mean you stop caring about others or become indifferent to feedback. It means you shift your focus from trying to meet everyone else's expectations to honoring your own. You still listen to advice and consider the opinions of those you respect, but you no longer let their judgments define your worth or dictate your choices. Instead, you turn inward, trusting your own intuition and inner guidance to lead the way. This inner compass is your true source of direction, the quiet voice that knows what's best for you, even when the world says otherwise. When you free yourself from the need for external validation, you also free yourself from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of criticism, fear of failure. These fears often hold you back because they are rooted in a desire to avoid judgment or disapproval. But when you no longer seek validation from others, you become less concerned with how you're perceived and more focused on how you feel about yourself. This shift in mindset empowers you to take risks, pursue your passions, and follow your heart, without the weight of fear holding you back. Living without the need for external validation also deepens your relationships. When your self-worth is no longer tied to what others think of you, you can engage with people more authentically. You no longer feel the pressure to perform or prove yourself. Instead, you show up as you truly are, confident in your own value. This authenticity creates deeper connections because people are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin. When you stop seeking approval, you become more open, more real, and more present in your relationships. Reclaiming your inner compass also means developing a strong sense of self-trust. When you constantly look outside yourself for approval, you undermine your ability to trust your own instincts and decisions. But when you turn inward and start validating yourself, you build confidence in your own judgment. You realize that you don't need others to tell you that you're on the right path. You can feel it within. This self-trust is one of the most empowering gifts you can give yourself because it allows you to navigate life with clarity and conviction. Another profound benefit of freeing yourself from external validation is that you stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is a trap that often leads to feelings of inadequacy, envy, or self-doubt. But when you trust in your own worth and follow your inner compass, you no longer need to measure yourself against others. You recognize that everyone is on their own unique journey, and there's no need to compete or compare. You are enough, just as you are, and your path is your own. Ultimately, living without the need for external validation brings you a deep sense of peace and freedom. You are no longer a prisoner to the opinions of others. You no longer chase approval or fear judgment. Instead, you live with a sense of inner security, knowing that your worth comes from within. You follow your heart, trust your intuition, and make choices that align with your true self. This is the freedom of living from your inner compass, the freedom to be who you truly are, unapologetically and authentically. In reclaiming your inner compass, you reclaim your power. You stop giving away your worth to the opinions of others and start living in alignment with your own truth. And in doing so, you unlock the ultimate freedom, the freedom to live a life that is true to you, guided by your own heart, your own wisdom, and your own inner compass. Chapter 16. Transcending the Self. Finding purpose beyond personal desires. True fulfillment in life doesn't come from satisfying personal desires alone. It arises when you transcend the self, connecting to something greater than your individual needs and wants. When you align your actions with a higher purpose, you step beyond the narrow confines of self-interest and discover a deeper sense of meaning. Transcending the self allows you to see life from a broader perspective, where your personal desires become tools for contributing to the world in meaningful ways. At the core of this transformation is the realization that while personal desires are natural, they are not the end goal. Often, desires are centered around what you can gain, whether it's success, comfort, pleasure, or recognition. But these pursuits, while fulfilling in the short term, rarely provide lasting satisfaction. The deeper truth is that fulfillment comes from giving, serving, and contributing to something beyond yourself. When you shift your focus from "what can I get" to "what can I give," your life takes on a new dimension of purpose and meaning. Transcending the self doesn't mean you abandon your desires. Instead, it's about integrating your personal goals into a broader mission that serves others and uplifts the world. When your desires align with a purpose greater than yourself, they become a force for good. You still pursue your dreams, but you do so with the awareness that your success can also create positive change for others. This shift transforms your desires from self-centered wants into purposeful ambitions that contribute to the well-being of those around you. Finding purpose beyond personal desires often involves asking deeper questions. What truly matters to me? How can I use my gifts and talents to make a difference? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? These questions invite you to explore your values and connect with the part of yourself that longs to contribute something meaningful to the world. When you begin to live from this place of purpose, your actions are infused with a sense of direction and meaning that goes beyond temporary satisfaction. One of the most profound aspects of transcending the self is the realization that you are part of a larger whole. You are not isolated in your desires or experiences. You are connected to a vast web of life, where your actions impact others and the world around you. When you recognize this interconnectedness, your perspective shifts. You start to see that your personal fulfillment is tied to the well-being of others. By contributing to the greater good, you not only enrich the lives of those around you, but you also experience a deeper sense of fulfillment within yourself. Transcending the self also helps you let go of the ego-driven pursuit of success. The ego often craves personal achievement, recognition, and validation. It seeks to accumulate more, whether it's wealth, status, or power. But these pursuits can leave you feeling empty if they are not connected to a larger purpose. When you transcend the ego and focus on serving others, you free yourself from the endless cycle of striving for personal gain. You realize that true success is not measured by what you have or what you've accomplished, but by the positive impact you've made in the lives of others. Living with purpose beyond personal desires also brings a sense of peace. When you are constantly chasing after personal wants, you may feel a sense of restlessness or dissatisfaction, always seeking the next thing to make you happy. But when your actions are guided by a higher purpose, you experience a deep sense of contentment. You know that your life has meaning beyond the immediate gratification of your desires, and this gives you a sense of fulfillment that is lasting and profound. In transcending the self, you also cultivate qualities like compassion, empathy, and generosity. These qualities naturally arise when you shift your focus from yourself to others. You begin to see the needs of those around you and feel a desire to help, to contribute, and to make a difference. This outward focus not only benefits those you serve, but also deepens your own sense of connection and purpose. You realize that life is not just about fulfilling your own desires, but about lifting others up and creating a positive ripple effect in the world. Finding purpose beyond personal desires requires courage. It means stepping out of your comfort zone and thinking beyond your immediate needs. It means being willing to give, even when it's not easy, and to serve, even when there's no immediate reward. But the rewards of living with purpose are far greater than any personal gain. You experience a profound sense of meaning, joy, and fulfillment that transcends the fleeting satisfaction of personal desires. As you transcend the self and align your life with a greater purpose, you unlock the power to make a real difference in the world. You realize that your personal desires are not separate from the greater good, they can be part of it. By living with purpose, you not only fulfill your own potential but also contribute to the well-being of others. This is the true path to lasting fulfillment, where your life becomes a reflection of something far greater than yourself. In transcending the self, you discover the deep joy and meaning that come from living with purpose, connection, and love. Chapter 17. The Power of Consistency. Building Habits that Tame Desires. Consistency is one of the most powerful forces in shaping your life. It is the quiet, steady effort that leads to transformation, especially when it comes to mastering your desires. While desires can be fleeting and impulsive, consistency gives you the discipline to create lasting change. By building habits that align with your values and goals, you tame the chaotic nature of desire and channel it into something meaningful and productive. Consistency is the key to turning your desires into a force that works for you, rather than against you. The power of consistency lies in its simplicity. Small, repeated actions over time can lead to profound results. Often, desires push you toward immediate gratification, tempting you to make choices that satisfy a craving in the moment but don't serve your long-term goals. However, when you develop consistent habits, you create a foundation that helps you resist those fleeting impulses. Consistency allows you to stay focused on what truly matters, even when desire pulls you in different directions. Building habits that tame desires requires discipline, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. The key is to start small and make gradual changes. Identify one area of your life where your desires often lead you astray, and begin by making one small, consistent change. For example, if you often give in to the desire for distractions when you should be working, you can start by setting aside just 10 minutes each day to focus without interruption. Over time, this small habit will grow, and you'll find it easier to resist distractions and stay committed to your goals. Consistency also helps you develop a deeper sense of trust in yourself. Each time you follow through on a habit, you reinforce your belief that you are capable of making positive changes. This self-trust is crucial in taming desires because it strengthens your ability to resist impulses that don't align with your values. When you consistently make choices that honor your goals, you prove to yourself that you are in control of your desires, not the other way around. This sense of control builds confidence, empowering you to stay the course even when challenges arise. One of the most important aspects of consistency is patience. The results of your efforts may not be immediately visible, and this can be frustrating, especially when desires for quick success or immediate gratification arise. But consistency teaches you to play the long game. It reminds you that meaningful progress takes time, and that each small step forward brings you closer to your ultimate goal. This patience helps you stay committed, even when the path seems slow or difficult. By focusing on the process rather than the outcome, you cultivate a mindset that embraces steady, incremental growth. Consistency also helps you tame desires by creating structure and routine. Desires often arise when your mind is idle or when you lack a clear plan for your day. But when you establish consistent habits, you create a sense of order in your life. You know what to expect, and this predictability reduces the likelihood of impulsive decisions. A structured routine provides a framework that supports your goals, making it easier to stay focused and resist distractions. As you build habits through consistency, you'll notice that your desires begin to shift. The things you once craved, whether it was unhealthy foods, distractions, or instant gratification, start to lose their appeal. Instead, you begin to desire the benefits that come from your consistent actions. You start to crave the sense of accomplishment that comes from sticking to your habits, the peace of mind that comes from staying disciplined, and the growth that comes from sustained effort. In this way, consistency not only tames your desires, but also transforms them into desires that align with your highest self. The power of consistency is also evident in how it helps you recover from setbacks. No matter how disciplined you are, there will be moments when you give in to temptation or stray from your habits. But consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up again and again, even after you've stumbled. When you have a consistent practice, you learn to view setbacks as temporary rather than permanent. You develop the resilience to get back on track, knowing that one mistake doesn't define your journey. This resilience is key to mastering your desires, as it helps you maintain focus and commitment even in the face of challenges. Consistency is a form of self-respect. It's a commitment to your own growth, your own values, and your own goals. Each time you follow through on a habit, you are honoring yourself and your potential. You are affirming that your long-term well-being is more important than the fleeting desires of the moment. This self-respect strengthens your resolve, making it easier to stay true to your path. In building habits that tame desires, you create a life that is not controlled by impulse but guided by purpose. You become someone who can trust in the power of steady effort, someone who is capable of creating lasting change. Consistency may not always feel glamorous or exciting, but it is the foundation upon which transformation is built. Over time, these small, consistent actions accumulate into something remarkable, allowing you to live with intention, purpose, and mastery over your desires. By embracing the power of consistency, you take control of your life. You turn your desires from distractions into motivations, and you build a future that reflects your highest potential. Through steady, disciplined action, you create the life you've always wanted, one where you are in charge of your desires, your habits, and your destiny. Chapter 18. Building Resilience. How to stay strong when temptations arise. Resilience is the inner strength that allows you to stay true to your goals, even when temptations threaten to pull you off course. It's the ability to bounce back from setbacks, to keep going when the path is difficult, and to stay committed to your higher purpose despite the distractions and desires that arise along the way. Building resilience is key to mastering your mind, as it equips you with the mental and emotional toughness needed to overcome the inevitable challenges that come with taming your desires. Temptations are a natural part of life, and everyone faces them. They can come in the form of cravings for comfort, distractions that lead you away from your work, or impulses that push you toward immediate gratification. The key to resilience is not avoiding temptations altogether. That's impossible. Rather, it's about learning how to face them head-on without being overwhelmed. Resilience is the shield that protects you from giving in when the desire to stray from your path feels strongest. One of the first steps in building resilience is understanding that setbacks and temptations are not signs of failure. They are simply part of the process. Resilient people don't expect the journey to be free of obstacles. Instead, they prepare for those moments when things don't go as planned. They understand that resilience isn't about being perfect, it's about having the strength to get back up when you stumble. This mindset shift is crucial because it frees you from the pressure of expecting yourself to always resist temptation flawlessly. Another key to resilience is cultivating self-awareness. When you are aware of your triggers, whether they're emotional, environmental, or related to stress, you can anticipate when temptations are most likely to arise. For example, you may notice that you're more tempted to give in to distractions when you're feeling tired or overwhelmed. By recognizing these patterns, you can take proactive steps to strengthen your resilience before temptation hits. Self-awareness allows you to create strategies that help you stay strong, such as practicing mindfulness, setting boundaries, or creating environments that minimize distractions. Resilience also requires learning how to manage stress and emotional discomfort. Many temptations arise as a way to escape or numb difficult emotions. When you're stressed, anxious, or frustrated, it's easy to turn to short-term relief, whether that's through food, entertainment, or other distractions. But resilience means facing those emotions head-on, rather than seeking immediate comfort. By developing healthy coping mechanisms, such as deep breathing, meditation, or talking to a trusted friend, you can handle stress without resorting to behaviors that derail your progress. One powerful way to build resilience is through the practice of delayed gratification. The ability to delay gratification is one of the strongest indicators of resilience, because it shows that you can resist the pull of immediate desires in favor of long-term rewards. Each time you choose to wait, to resist an impulse, or to stay disciplined in the face of temptation, you strengthen your resilience. Over time, this builds your capacity to stay focused and committed, even when the temptation to give in feels strong. Resilience is also built through small victories. Every time you successfully resist a temptation, no matter how small, you reinforce your belief in your own strength. These moments of discipline add up, creating a foundation of confidence that helps you face bigger challenges. Resilience isn't something that happens overnight. It's cultivated through consistent effort, through daily choices to stay on your path. Each small act of resilience prepares you for the larger tests that life will inevitably bring. It's also important to cultivate a sense of self-compassion as you build resilience. You will face moments when you give in to temptation, when you stray from your goals, and when your discipline falters. But resilience isn't about never falling. It's about how quickly and how strongly you get back up. When you treat yourself with compassion in moments of weakness, you create the space to learn from your mistakes rather than judge yourself harshly. This self-compassion allows you to bounce back more quickly, renewing your commitment to your goals with a sense of kindness and understanding. Another aspect of resilience is maintaining perspective. In moments of temptation, it can be easy to lose sight of the bigger picture and focus only on the immediate desire. But resilience helps you zoom out and remember your long-term goals. It reminds you why you started on this path in the first place, and it strengthens your ability to see beyond the temporary pleasure of giving in to temptation. By keeping your higher purpose in mind, you can stay grounded in the face of challenges and remain committed to the things that truly matter. Ultimately, resilience is about mental and emotional toughness, the kind of toughness that helps you weather the storms of life without losing your way. It's about staying connected to your purpose, your values, and your goals, even when the winds of temptation are strong. Resilience doesn't mean you won't face difficulties, but it does mean you'll have the strength to overcome them. As you build resilience, you will find that the power of temptation diminishes. You will no longer feel as easily swayed by fleeting desires or momentary cravings. Instead, you will feel grounded, focused, and capable of staying true to your higher purpose, no matter what challenges arise. Resilience is the armor that protects you from the distractions of life, allowing you to move forward with clarity, confidence, and unwavering strength. And in building that resilience, you become someone who not only masters their desires, but also masters their own destiny. Chapter 19. The Joy of Simplicity, Redefining Success and Happiness. In a world that often equates success with accumulation of wealth, status, possessions, and achievements, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that more is better. But true happiness and fulfillment are often found in simplicity. When you strip away the distractions, the constant striving, and the endless pursuit of desires, you make space for the things that truly matter. The joy of simplicity is about reconnecting with what is essential, embracing contentment in the present, and redefining success in a way that aligns with your inner values rather than external standards. Simplicity is powerful because it helps you focus on what is most important. When your life is cluttered with desires, material possessions, and the pressures to achieve more, your mind becomes overwhelmed. You're constantly chasing after the next thing, but the satisfaction is always temporary. Simplicity, on the other hand, frees you from the burden of more. It allows you to let go of the unnecessary, the distractions, and the excess, so you can focus on the things that bring true joy: relationships, experiences, personal growth, and peace of mind. One of the most liberating aspects of simplicity is the realization that you don't need as much as you think to be happy. Desires often tell you that happiness lies in acquiring more, whether it's a new possession, a promotion, or an external achievement. But the joy of simplicity shows you that happiness is not about adding more to your life, but about appreciating what you already have. When you shift your focus from accumulation to appreciation, you unlock a deeper sense of contentment. You begin to see the abundance that already exists in your life, and you realize that true happiness comes not from having more, but from needing less. Living simply also means redefining success on your own terms. Society often teaches you to measure success by external markers: how much money you make, how many possessions you own, how far you've climbed the career ladder. But these markers of success are often shallow and fleeting. They may bring momentary satisfaction, but they rarely lead to lasting fulfillment. Simplicity invites you to redefine success in a way that is meaningful to you. Success might look like having more time to spend with loved ones, pursuing a passion that brings you joy, or living with integrity and purpose. When you let go of society's definition of success and embrace your own, you experience a deeper sense of peace and satisfaction. Simplicity also helps you cultivate mindfulness. When your life is filled with distractions and desires, it's easy to lose touch with the present moment. You're constantly thinking about the next goal, the next achievement, or the next possession. But when you embrace simplicity, you slow down. You create space to be present, to savor the beauty of the here and now. Mindfulness allows you to fully experience the richness of life without the constant need to chase after more. It helps you appreciate the small, simple moments, the warmth of the sun, the taste of a good meal, the laughter of a friend, that bring true joy. Embracing simplicity also strengthens your connection to yourself. Desires, especially those driven by external validation, can pull you away from who you truly are. You begin to shape your identity around what you think you need to achieve or acquire in order to be successful. But simplicity strips away those external pressures and allows you to reconnect with your authentic self. It gives you the clarity to recognize what truly matters to you, what aligns with your values, and what brings you genuine happiness. In this way, simplicity is not about deprivation, it's about living in alignment with your true self. Simplicity also fosters gratitude. When you stop chasing after the next big thing, you start to appreciate the beauty of what's already in front of you. You begin to see the richness in the ordinary, the abundance in the everyday. Gratitude is one of the most powerful keys to happiness, because it shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present. It allows you to see that you already have enough, and that the pursuit of more is often an illusion that distracts you from the joy of the present moment. Another profound benefit of simplicity is that it reduces stress. The constant pursuit of desires, whether for material possessions, achievements, or recognition, creates pressure and anxiety. You feel the weight of always needing to do more, be more, or have more. But when you embrace simplicity, you release that pressure. You give yourself permission to be content with where you are and what you have. This doesn't mean you stop growing or striving for meaningful goals. It means you approach life with a sense of ease and balance. You no longer feel the need to rush through life in pursuit of external markers of success, because you've found peace in simplicity. Living simply also deepens your relationships. When you let go of the distractions and desires that consume your time and energy, you create more space for meaningful connections with others. You become more present in your interactions, more available to the people who matter most. Simplicity allows you to prioritize relationships over possessions, experiences over achievements, and love over status. This shift not only enhances your personal happiness, but also strengthens the bonds you share with others. Ultimately, the joy of simplicity is about living a life that is aligned with your true values. It's about recognizing that happiness doesn't come from accumulating more, but from appreciating what you already have. It's about redefining success in a way that brings you peace and fulfillment, rather than constantly chasing after external validation. When you embrace simplicity, you free yourself from the burden of desires that don't serve you, and you create a life that is rich in meaning, purpose, and joy. Chapter 20. Mastering the Mind. Living in harmony with your desires. Mastering your mind doesn't mean eliminating your desires or suppressing them. Instead, it's about learning to live in harmony with them, where your desires no longer control you, but instead serve as tools for growth, fulfillment, and purpose. When you reach this level of mastery, you no longer feel torn between what you want and what you need. You cultivate a balanced, intentional relationship with your desires, one that empowers you to live with clarity, peace, and fulfillment. The first step toward mastering the mind is accepting that desires are a natural part of being human. Desires, in themselves, are not the enemy. They are signals from your inner self about what you value and what brings you joy. But when desires become overwhelming, unchecked, or misaligned with your higher purpose, they can lead to dissatisfaction and chaos. Mastering your mind means cultivating the ability to understand your desires and discern which ones will lead to growth and which are distractions. One of the key elements of living in harmony with your desires is balance. You don't have to fulfill every desire that arises, nor do you have to deny yourself the pleasures of life. Instead, you learn to create a balance between indulging in healthy desires and exercising restraint where necessary. This balance comes from a deep sense of self-awareness and mindfulness, where you can pause and assess whether a particular desire is worth pursuing. This pause gives you the power to act intentionally rather than react impulsively. Living in harmony with your desires also requires aligning them with your values and purpose. Desires that are rooted in your higher goals, in what truly matters to you, become powerful motivators that push you toward success and fulfillment. On the other hand, desires that are driven by external validation, materialism, or short-term gratification often lead to frustration. Mastering the mind means choosing to pursue desires that are in harmony with your core values and letting go of those that pull you away from your true path. Mindfulness plays a crucial role in this process. When you practice mindfulness, you become more attuned to your thoughts, emotions, and desires as they arise. You gain the ability to observe them without immediately acting on them, allowing you to make conscious choices rather than being driven by impulse. This awareness gives you control over your desires and helps you stay aligned with your long-term vision, even when temptation arises. Mastering your desires also means embracing patience. Many desires are rooted in the need for instant gratification, but lasting fulfillment comes from delayed rewards. Patience helps you stay focused on the bigger picture, allowing you to resist short-term temptations in favor of long-term success. The ability to delay gratification is a hallmark of mind mastery, as it shows that you are in control of your impulses, not at their mercy. Another crucial aspect of mastering the mind is resilience. Desires are ever-changing, and life is full of ups and downs. There will be moments when you give in to a desire that doesn't serve you, or when the pursuit of a worthy desire becomes challenging. Resilience is the strength to recover from these setbacks, to get back on track, and to continue moving forward. Resilience allows you to stay committed to your goals, even when the path is difficult, and helps you maintain perspective when desires seem overwhelming. Gratitude is another powerful tool in mastering the mind. When you cultivate gratitude, you focus on what you already have rather than what you lack. This shift in perspective reduces the constant craving for more and helps you find contentment in the present moment. Gratitude balances your desires by reminding you that while it's natural to want more, you are already whole and complete as you are. This realization brings a deep sense of peace, reducing the pull of unnecessary desires. Ultimately, mastering the mind is about living with intention. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values, goals, and true desires, rather than being driven by impulses or external pressures. When you live with intention, you create a life that is rich in meaning and purpose. You are no longer at the mercy of every passing craving or desire. Instead, you become the architect of your own destiny, shaping your life in a way that reflects your highest self. In mastering your mind, you discover the freedom to live in harmony with your desires. You no longer feel torn between